now present For the Record with Neil Heinen.
An update on the important work of the League of Women Voters is next on For the Record. Thanks for joining us. I'm Neil Heinen. There are a handful of organizations in this country that, by virtue of their missions, their reach, their commitment, and their tenure, are a part of the foundation of our democracy. The League of Women Voters is one of those organizations. This year is the 100th anniversary of ratification of the constitutional amendment guaranteeing the right to vote for women. It is, of course, also a year where the fundamental right to vote for all citizens is being challenged and threatened. We have that, and elections, and an upcoming event to talk about as I welcome to For the Record Brooke Soltwet, Vice President and past President of the League of Women Voters, Dane County, Ernestine Moss, who is Chair of the Centennial Celebration Planning Committee and Co-Chair of the Dane County Voter ID Coalition, and past President of the League, and Marilyn Steffen, who is the Action Chair of the League of Women Voters, Dane County. And henceforth, that all gets shortened. We'll just talk to you by name. But welcome. Thank you, all of you, for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Brooke, just start. I mean, the League has been around, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, forever, and its role. But I still think there are probably people out there who don't fully appreciate and understand the League, and particularly the League of the work of the League in Dane County. Talk about the organization and who it is and what you do.
Well, we started out as only women for a long time, and now we have expanded to include many men. We have for a long time been women who were not allowed to work outside the home and who were smart and well educated and wanted to do something, and being able to get together and do something to help their friends and their fellow women to be educated, to know how to vote, and to believe that they could was really important. Today, we're really working hard to expand into bringing youth into the group, bringing men into the group, bringing people of color into the group, which has been a problem here, especially here in Dane County, and people with disabilities, LGBTQ people. We're really trying to be something for everybody. Yeah. What do? We educate voters. We try to empower voters, get more people to be voters and engaged in the system. We interview candidates and provide answers to have them provide answers to our questions for the public. We put on educational programs about issues that are in the news. This year we have big focus on the climate crisis. We have an upcoming forum on ag sustainability and the promise of that, but we've had one on the medical crisis that it causes.
On what the medical crisis, climate change causes?
Yes, climate change is causing huge medical problems for asthma, for zoonotic diseases, for people who are subject to floods and the mildew problems that happen, the heating, cooling.
So it's a much broader agenda than just voting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Although that work is probably more critical than ever.
More critical than ever, but by far not the only thing that we do.
Right. I think it'd just be interesting, Ernestine, what got you involved in the League?
Well, truthfully, one morning, I think it was a weekend, Saturday morning, I was meandering around in the Capitol, the hotel, Concourse Hotel.
Okay.
And actually, all my life, I grew up. In my household, we watched elections. And that's where I got my familiarity with the League of Women Voters.
I see.
So it's always been a trusted source in terms of, you know, getting your information and listening to what the issues are.
Yep.
But in Madison, I was in the Concourse Hotel, and Claire Mercado caught me on the hallway. I think they were having their lively issues luncheon.
Yep.
And she said, why don't you come on in, Ernestine? And I said, well, I'm not a member. She said, oh, you're not? I thought you were. Because we always did the collaboration. The NAACP and the League of Women Voters had collaborated for many, many years to do candidate forums. So I attended that luncheon, and the rest is history. That was in 2004, and I've been a member ever since.
Yeah.
And that was part of the partnership. We have a partnership now with the NAACP, and Ernestine's the co-chair representing the NAACP, even though she's also in the league. And it's the Dane County Voter ID Coalition. After the voter ID law was put into effect, we formed there was a coalition of groups, including the ACLU and Vote Riders. And, but the league and NAACP were the leads.
Yeah, and I also serve as the vice president currently for the NAACP.
Okay, right.
I sit on the Vote ID Coalition representing the NAACP.
So. What about you, Marilyn? What got you involved?
Well, I was actually a member of the league back in the 70s when my children were little. And I was a stay-at-home mom for 7 years, which was lovely. But the league gave me that outlet that I needed as a stay-at-home mom to talk to grown-ups. And then I went back to graduate school and left the league for several decades during my career and retired in 2012, the end of 2012. And we moved to Madison. We were living in Michigan. Moved to Madison, and I thought, well, now what? And the league seemed to be the logical choice. So I came back around to it, and I'm not the only one. I know a number of people with the same story.
Sure.
So, yeah.
What's membership? What's the size? Do you know?
We just went over 500
in Dane County.
In Dane County,
wow.
which when I joined or started being active maybe a dozen years ago, we were struggling to keep 200. So we're just thrilled.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think people who've gone from a state of apathy to a state of realizing that it's your government, and if you aren't watching it, if you aren't actively engaged in it, you get.
Yeah, there's a hunger right now.
Well, and I think it's interesting that we're drawing in more and more younger people.
Yes.
And that's vital for our organization, obviously. But it's really important that what they bring to the table is a different outlook, a different way of seeing things, a different way of working.
Absolutely.
It's really been, it's an infusion of energy into the organization. So that's very exciting for us.
And are you a chapter of the Wisconsin League?
All leagues are have a local league. Membership is always at the local level.
Yeah.
Then you're a member of your state organization, and then the national organization.
And is the national thriving as well?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. I wish I had thought to look up the numbers, but I can't tell you right off the top of my head, I'm afraid.
As a matter of fact, there's over 600 communities in America that have a league chapter. So that's, and I think it's actually closer to 700, but somewhere in that neighborhood.
And in the last couple of years, Wisconsin has had several new chapters form. And some other established chapters have sort of taken under their wings parts that are not quite ready to be their own independent chapter, but it's great.
When we come back, we're going to talk about voting, historical and current, with the League of Women Voters right after this.